We are back for another YouTube special of Boots, Balls and Bras with the amazing Lianne Sanderson, and we are going to go through her transition from footballer to TV pundit. Welcome to the show, Lianne.
Thanks, Faz.
When you do punditry, so I know that when I do my punditry or whatever, I kind of heavily rely on like my analysis because I feel like that's kind of a strength of mine. So I like breaking down games, but that probably comes from my coaching style.
Strength. I mean, Farah, you are unbelievable tactically. Like you always have been.
Thanks.
Remember you used to sit there.
Yeah, I know.
I remember the
like
teachers sat over it.
Yeah.
The one that used to be the manager and Farah would be right there. And you have always had an ability to be able to break down a game unbelievably from a young age.
Yeah. So I try and use that strength and kind of then build on the other stuff that comes with actually delivering punditry or whatever. So what's your main attribute in terms of, if you look at your career and your skills as a footballer, what have you taken from that has really enhanced your punditry and your delivery of your punditry?
Yeah, I think as well, a lot of people that I work with, like producers and people that I work with, they say my strength is that I'm able to talk over highlights really well and I'm able to say it as I see it. An example, the other week when Dominic Calvert-Lewin got sent off at Selhurst Park, I'm on TalkSport, you know, and reacting to it in the moment. And I'm like, that is not a red card. But you have to put yourself out there. Because then obviously you're going to get pelters if you're completely wrong. But in the end, it got rescinded. It's probably one of the only red cards that's ever been rescinded in for God knows however long. So I think the way I draw on my experiences is, you know, my vision was very good. And me and you were able to dig something out the bag when we needed to. So when the pressure's on and when it's live TV, I mean, the prep that we do is unbelievable. I don't think people see that. And I will say, not to beat the drum of being a woman, but I know if I was to get a name wrong, the standard that I'm held to is completely different. So Wrighty did a thing about us a couple of years ago and he said, we almost have to be better. And he respects us even more because he knows that him being an ex-male player, you instantly get that credibility.
Of course.
I work with people that mispronounce names all the time because they're men and they played in the Premier League, it's almost okay. If I mispronounce a name, I could do 1,000 things right, mispronounce one thing, and it's like the end of the world.
Yeah, I'm going to say. And of course, even when you pronounce, I mean, you know, some of the overseas players in terms of the pronunciations, and, you know, even when you was in school and you're doing French and German, in terms of actually getting that pronunciation right, it's really difficult. It's a really, really hard skill, especially when you're in comms. A little bit different to punditry. You can kind of work around that and you've got more time to think of those names. Live commentary is really difficult when you see a player and you've mispronounced a name or whatever, knowing what's going to come with that. But you touched on it there in terms of preparation. And I obviously know that, you know, women, especially when they're working on a men's game, in terms of the research and all the work that goes into that, do you, when you do, because you cross over the men and women, when you do the men, do you feel like you overload yourself with like all your preparation compared to if you was to do the women, or are you somebody that actually balance it across NWSL, WSL, Men's Premier League? Are you somebody that kind of, because look, as you say, like the men, Wrighty, for example, love Wrighty, and, you know, he's a great advocate for the women's game and women, you know, in punditry and in the
before
media.
It was cool to be. So, you know what I mean? Because everyone jumped on the bandwagon, whereas Wrighty gave us...
of course, he gives you a platform, and even when you're with him, the help that he gives you along that, and he wants you to do well. But going to my point, in terms of like, when you do the women, because it's your bread and butter, like your preparation... Like, is it equal compared to what you do the men, or?
I almost have to prep more, Faz, to be honest, because like I said, like with the women's game for a long time, I felt hurt by it. So I found it quite difficult to watch. Like I couldn't really go to games. I felt like it was it hurt me. Whereas when that's why I like to be in America, because I felt like every time I'm in America, my experiences have been so good that when I'm over there working, no one's going to hurt me. I'm not going to see someone that's hurt me. I'm not going to feel that way. But I will say that for example, there's such thing as over prepping as well.
100%.
Because when I used to do the Golasso show for CBS here, we were doing like 30 games, right? We were doing Europa Conference League and Europa League. I'm doing Trabzonspor, like Genk, like all these teams,
you get
right?
the low teams in it.
And I'm thinking, I've got to know every, because I don't like to just say, oh, the left back gives it to the right. You know what I mean? I like to know the names for my own self. Because it's obviously the lead comms person to know the names. But I'm in the studio, I'm having to react off of what's going on. So I got to a point where I used to get so overloaded with information that I was prepping that the more I did that show, the more I just felt like I came into my own. And I wasn't, because at the end of the day, the way I look at it, right? When I'm doing punditry, my nan could get up there and reel off stats. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we are being given the opportunity because of our expertise and our opinion. So when people, XG, I get it, expected goals, blah, blah, blah. But you could get someone, don't you think you could get anybody to read that?
I agree.
I could get my nan to say, oh, what's the expected goals from today? What's this? What's that? Whereas actually, I like watching people that give their opinion. That's why I love Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. I don't always agree with them. And Alan Shearer and Wright, because, you know, they give their opinion. And it's not factual. People think,
That's the thing. Like football for me, like, and that's what I say. Like, you can love, hate what I say or whatever. You can love and hate my voice. You can say that I think I'm X, Y, and Z. That's okay. And I don't really. And I'm going to touch on the criticism because I want to talk to you a little bit about, the criticism that we get. Those things don't bother me. Like, I feel like, as you say, like when you talk about the build into games, there's a big hour build into games depending on who you're with. And most of that is about the stats and whatever around the game. And I always used to think that I really hate builds to game because I actually want to dissect the game. I want to show my expertise in actually, talking to the viewer and trying to educate viewers around actually they're playing this way and if they do something different and you come into it. So that's the part of the analysis that I like. As you say, all of that, the facts and whatever,
they're good.
They're valid, and at points they're needed it to elaborate on something that you're talking about. But in terms of that, people that are just statos, and people work differently. They're good for some things, but I'm somebody that would like, what's your opinion? What's your feeling? How did you see it? Because football is about opinions.
Because we were like this,
and I love debates. Like you debate. Like for me, I love a debate. And if fans weren't as bad as they are, you could engage more with them because things I say is how I see it. It doesn't mean to say that I'm right. There'll be viewers that will agree with me. There'll be viewers that don't. Let's have a conversation. Because we talk football all day, every day. Anybody that knows us will know that most of our topic of conversation is around football. And if viewers or fans or whatever that want to engage with you on socials, if they were a little bit, rather than looking at your skin color, looking at your weight, looking at your sexuality, looking at whatever, and it was just like, no, I thought this, like, good point, but my point would be, but we could have so much better interactions with fans and understanding. I think it would be so much more, like, much safer space for people to talk and be pundits in. But I don't know what your opinion is of the criticism. And I know you get a hell of a lot. I'm not good on socials. You're very good on socials.
But Faz,
you're active and I'm not active.
Yeah, but Faz, it's not even about criticism of me as a pundit. This is going back to what we were saying. If someone doesn't like me, that doesn't hurt my feelings, right? Because not everyone's going to like you and love you.
Of course.
But you're right.
They might like me and love me.
No, but the thing is, it's like, why do you have to be so nasty? Like, I used to do this thing on Twitter a few years ago, ask Sanderson, and let people ask me questions. Now I don't even do stuff like this.
What was the one I went on in lockdown?
Oh, that was the Instagram Lives.
Oh, okay,
that was just like, we did that for fun. That was good, actually. Thanks for coming on with me on that. But yeah, I don't know, like,
they get personal, right?
Yeah, like really personal. And like, I don't know, like someone will comment, like yesterday, someone commented on a picture of mine from about 4 years ago, just telling me I was fat. And it's like, why? And those things do hurt.
Yeah, of course they do.
Because, as a female, it's something you're conscious of anyway. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, Faz, like, I don't pay much attention to what people have to say when it comes to that, because really, all that matters are your producers, the people that employ you, your mum, your dad, your family, right? And your partner.
Yeah.
But what I will say is it does hurt sometimes, because I said this to one of my colleagues last week, like when I'm on my way home after TalkSport on my own, you're in your own head.
Yeah,
and luckily, I've got like I'm very strong-minded, but there's times when I've been upset and cried.
Of course.
And I don't think people understand, because some people say, oh, don't let them affect you. I think to myself, you try getting pelters every single day for about 5 years and see how that feels. Because that's one thing I related to what Annie had to say in her video, right? Because I felt fearful of myself. I said this yesterday, no one will understand that. No, you're not just scared because someone's saying about your opinion. I'm scared because I've had 2 death threats.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why I'm scared going to football grounds sometimes, certain football grounds, because I had 2 death threats from Fulham fans that had to be investigated. Do I want to press charges? Don't I? It's just, and it's not nice, you know?
I can imagine.
So that makes me feel scared. Like when I was going to Craven Cottage, I was thinking, should I go? And it was all because I said that Mitrovic couldn't cut it in the Premier League. Wasn't going to cut it because he didn't before. And then he did. And then I said, actually, and where is he now? Sorry? In Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying I was right, but there's people, I was on forums, people putting like a dartboard with my, putting, and I'm thinking, what? All because of an opinion. So, but
that's what's crazy though, Lianne, because football is opinions. Right? And none of us, we're right in our own head. And there'll be people that think, they're right, and people that jump on the back. And there'll be people that think you're wrong. But
I don't even think I'm always right either.
Sport is opinions. And that's why I don't understand it. I don't know how like opinions of a sport or a topic or whatever it might be can then revert to that type of abuse, whether it be online, whether you feel actually physically somebody could come into your space and harm you. I think it's crazy. And I mean, they're obviously trying to cut it out, but I think with social media and where society is going, it's gone to ultimate high.
But you know what's weird though? In a place like Qatar,
Yeah.
No one was mean to me.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? All the horrible laws they have, I feel safe there.
Yeah.
People are nice to me. There was kids waiting outside the hotel for me. And even when I'm in America, there might be some people that might not. I remember there was an Orlando Pride fan that said to me I was too critical of their back line. And then actually said, you were right in the end. I don't need to always be right. That's good discussion. But when people start saying stuff like, so when I'm in America, no one comes after me for all those things, funnily enough. And people say, oh, you know, do you feel scared when you're in America? Because there are bad stuff that happen in America, don't get me wrong. But I feel safe when I'm there. So that's why I'm more inclined to think, you know what? I love what I do all over the world. I'm blessed, but I have to protect myself sometimes because even my mum gets messages. What? You know, That's my mum used to have Twitter and she kind of don't really go on it anymore because she sees what people are saying about her daughter.
I think that's what people forget, that you are one of I don't know whether it's a sister, brother, whatever. Mum, all of those people that actually see and read it, probably because you're mentally strong through playing the game. You have that mental toughness, but your parents or your siblings or whatever probably haven't had to experience stuff like that to make them mentally strong, to be able to protect you, and they just want to protect you. And I think people, when they have these daggers and whatever they want to do in the abuse, they don't realize the impact it has. It doesn't just impact the direct person that you're actually abusing. There's so much more around that the abuser affects.
And I think as well, like with regards to the online abuse, it's like, I sometimes look at them and I think, in your profile picture, you've got clearly your little girl. No, but it's like someone with their little daughter or something. And I'm like, and sometimes I have messaged them back and just said, you know, I hope that little girl in your profile picture doesn't grow up with these types of opinions because you're coming at me because I'm a woman. And we automatically have to win people over just by being a woman. When you walk into a room, you're the most cat player for England. Why should you have to prove yourself?
It's the same
way, proving yourself.
Not even just in punditry. I remember doing my coaching badges, and it's obviously a male-dominated, coaching course that I was on, and even just playing. I mean, I remember some of the guys, and some of these guys would, flipping never even play conference football, and they want to do the badges. And do you know what I mean? And look, I don't like comparing the men and women's game in terms of that, because there's so many differences in it. But in terms of when we talk tactics and technique of being able to kick a ball, it's the same, and we should know how to do that. But honestly, on some of these courses, like some of the lads that you'd be playing, obviously you join in some of the practices, and there's no one around you, and they're screaming, "Man on!" There's no one there, trying to like intimidate and whatever. And I'm like, mate, go away. Like, but it's genuinely go away. It's so pathetic.
Like, talking and being able to do it live and do all those things, it's not easy to do.
I know.
And I've had loads of people that I've spoken to off air, right? And they come on air and they literally can't speak. Because it's one thing talking.
Brain freeze, mate. You have even here, like with all the cameras, you just
in a pub, it's all right giving your opinion, saying this player's rubbish, that player's rubbish. But even the players that,
and when you got someone in your ear as well, telling you
counting down, all that, it's a lot. And I think like it's one thing giving your opinion in a pub or whatever, but it's one thing being a professional footballer, male or female. And it's not an easy job. When I look at it now, I'm analysing these games, I'm thinking, as if we used to play at this level where it's so much responsibility.
And we probably didn't even appreciate the break. Like even when, I know your relationship with Hope is different, but in terms of those coaches and the amount of work that they did in terms of breaking games down, as players, you're probably thinking, this is so boring. But it has to be done. And when you do this side of it and you're breaking games down, you're like, wow, they must have put in a lot of work. Like, I appreciate the work that's get put in, because you have to do it now.
Absolutely.
Probably at the time,
but I even always used to appreciate like the kit people, when we used to just turn up, because we've been through the good, the bad and the ugly. We've been there when we've had to wash our own kit and use the men's hand-me-downs, haven't we? Literally like the biggest kits we've ever seen in your life. If it gets wet, it's like someone on your back.
I know,
do you know what I mean?
It's true.
Whereas like when you go to games now and you see, the players with their little toiletry bags, being able to have everything done for them, I think I really hope you deserve that, but I hope you appreciate what came before you. Not just me and you, I'm talking about in general. Because I think and you can't hold it against these players, because sometimes they've never experienced the graft that's gone before them. And I think they can say, we appreciate the people that came before. I don't think people fully do. Thank you for watching the YouTube special. Head over to Acast to listen to the full episode now.